Hello, my friend. My name is Balix. It's good to see you, good to meet you. Last week, we talked about living a creative life, and this week, I wanted to talk a little bit about when to pursue creative ideas, what's worthwhile to pursue, and the emotional peaks of different projects. So, if that sounds intriguing to you, sit back, relax, gonna chat for a little while, and I'm so happy that you're here to listen. I just had a conversation with my good friend Connor, and he was talking about this song that he wrote. He just has the lyrics for it, but he was in a really emotional place and he sat down and filtered it through lyrics. And he was asking me if that if he should make it. He was asking me if he should make that song. And that got me thinking on when to pursue your creative ideas and what's worthwhile to create, right? So, what I told him was the more emotional, the more raw, the rawer, the better. Not necessarily the more painless. It's actually quite painful when it's more emotional. And it's actually really tough to make something that you are deeply emotionally invested in. But that makes for beautiful, beautiful art. Think about it. The goal of music is to connect. That's what drum circles are. That's why I write songs. They're just meant to take a group of people and to have them realize that they have this shared connection through the music. And that's beautiful. So when you go through something and it leaves you a little rashed, a little raw, a little hurt, but you turn it into music, it's beautiful. That's why we do it. The goal of a musician, to me personally, is to take those feelings, whether it be feelings you want to be having or feelings you don't want to be having, and to run with them. So it could be a song about being in love, or it could be a song about heartbreak. It could be a song about how excited you are, or about how you're dreading something. And it's all valid. It's all emotions and experiences that you feel. And his question was, well, should I make it? Because right now we are doing a weekly challenge where we make a demo a week. And he was wondering if it's even worth it to take this pain and anguish and turn it into something. And I really think that depends on your goals as a musician. So, minimum, when I write a song, I want to be able to just have the lyrics. That way, at any point, I can go back and read them and be like, damn, I was on something then. Another goal as a musician is to be able to play your songs, right? It's special to be able to take your emotional state and pick up a chordal instrument, a guitar, a piano, whatever, and to express yourself. That is special. That is like truly, truly one of the things that makes music worthwhile to do. It's another thing to take that into the DAW, the digital audio workstation, and tinker it to perfection. But there's also the side of the DAW where you're making a demo where it doesn't matter if it's perfect, you just need to capture your idea, you know? And that, so it's like there's levels to it, right? There's having the lyrics and then being able to play it, and then there's having a demo and having a song. And then having that as part of an album, you know, whatever. It really depends on your goals. So if you're a bedroom musician that doesn't care if other people listen to their music, then it might just be fine to reach any of those states it could be okay to just be able to have the lyrics and be like, wow, I wrote a banger song. Or to have the chords down and you can play and sing it. Like, wow, I also have a banger song, but now I can perform it. Whether it's worthwhile to create is completely subjective. But I do have my own personal takes on it. I personally think that it is always worthwhile to have some kind of project going. I just told you that we do weekly demos, and that's literally taking a snippet of lyrics that I wrote, no matter how basic, how crude, and just turning it into something that you can hear using the DAW. That is my goal for those. I think it's always worthwhile to have a little something that you're working on, because if you don't, then, well, you're not creating, are you? You're just, like, in limbo. And I don't like being in limbo. I always love having... I work in songs, personally, and I usually have 2 songs at a time that I'm working on. And I take them to the limit. I really, really go for that 99% done. With these demos, I'm going for a solid 70%, solid 50% even. But with my songs that are my weekly, bi-weekly, whatever projects, I'm working on them. And I think it's always nice to have like some lyrics that you're working on, these chords that you're playing with, anything to keep the fingers in mind from being idle, And the more you create, the bigger your repertoire. The bigger your repertoire becomes, and the bigger your repertoire becomes, the more you grow as a musician. That's just music 101. Same goes for painting. The more you paint, the more paintings you'll have. The more paintings you'll have, the more repertoire you'll have. You'll have worked on your technique more. You'll have worked on your start to finish process. All of that stuff. So worthwhile. And I think it's worthwhile to create every single thing that you can think of. I think it's worthwhile. Does that mean I will? No. Because you should see my Notes app graveyard. It's insane. Let me know if you want to see that. I will go ahead and post some snippets of that. But we only have 24 hours in a day, bro, and I have some projects that are really important to me. So I work on making those. That being said, if I have nothing going on and I just need to make something, anything, because I always need to make something, anything, then I'll take a little snippet of lyrics, I'll extrapolate on them, expand on them, and then extrapolate from expand on. I'll expand on them, and I will do my best to turn it into something. If it gets released is a whole nother question. Like, I only really release things that I'm proud of, that I know that I want to release. That's a special... There's a hierarchy to things, and you have to be pretty special of a song, to me, to be released. I don't just release everything. Maybe I should on, like, SoundCloud or something like that, but I'm not there right now. I have other things I'm focusing on. So, whether it's worthwhile to create something or not, I think depends on what you've got going on and what you say you are. If you say you're a musician and you don't have anything that you're creating, then are you a poser? I don't know. Maybe you're just a part-time musician. Maybe you're a hobbyist, whatever. If you want it to be full-time one day, if you want to make a living off of your music, then you gotta be making. Like, you can add in whatever... I'm out on my patio right now because I want it to be outside. And that's why we have this mirror scheme going on, because I wanted to be able to just stare out at the forest and chat with you. And the reason I bring that up is because that crow was hella loud. Yeah, you fly away now. If you want music to be something that you're doing full time, and you want to make a living off of it, then you gotta be creating like a full-time musician would. And if I'm going to be completely honest with myself, I'm not creating in the way that a full-time musician would. I give in to my excuses, procrastination, perfectionism, all of that stuff. But I'm also doing it solo, so I only can work within my limitations as I slowly expand and am able to take on more. But if you're wondering if it's worthwhile to create something and you're not making anything right now, then yeah, just go make it. Go get busy. Go make something really cool. When to pursue a creative idea can be different. I think that to make something is to pursue a creative idea, but I think that you can add on the extra layer of vision because you can work on projects and not have a creative vision for them. And that is worthwhile because if your hands are idle and you call yourself a musician, what are you doing? But if you decide that you want to work on something larger scale, for instance, I'm working on a mini album called The King of the Wallflowers right now, then to pursue a creative idea could be to take away from what you're working on, creative vision wise. So I have a few singles lined up. I'm on my release schedule for my last single of the mini album, and then I'm going to drop the whole thing. And I'm working on this song called Someone, and it wasn't a part of my creative vision of King of the Wallflowers, but it fit really, really well in with the single that I'm currently releasing called How Strange Is That? So I took time away from the King of the Wallflowers total vision to work on this mini side project called Someone. And it's taken me 3 days. I made the song. It's great. And I think that's very worthwhile because it's one of those projects that aligns with the larger vision. Now, if I work primarily in indie and rap, so right now I'm working a lot on the indie stuff. If I were to just not be near the finish line with King of the Wallflowers and instead pivoted to something rap based, and King of the Wallflowers is an indie project, indie rock, if you will. If I were to pivot over to King of the Wallflower, to a rap song, take me out of the flow of King of the Wallflowers, then maybe that's where it gets worthwhile to not pursue a creative idea. Because I have this larger vision for King of the Wallflowers, and to work on something that's silly or something that is out of that zone could be distracting me from that goal. That being said, the demos that I make weekly with my friend Connor, those are not related to King of the Wallflowers, right? On occasion they are. For instance, I had the demo of the closer song be my project for one of the weeks, and then I worked on finalizing that. Someone, the song I was just talking about, was my demo for the week, but it just turned out that I wanted to release it. So, but I also have these little mini projects that are demos that are not in King of the Wallflowers. And I think it's worthwhile to focus on those mini projects because to only focus on King of the Wallflowers would be emotional hell for me, because King of the Wallflowers is something that means a lot to me and I love it. It's not a light album. It's heavy for me. It's raw hurt, pain, but it's good, you know? But if I were to just stay in that for like this whole project cycle, I would be down bad and depressed straight up. Like Loki already am a little bit, but if I were to just hold myself in that forever, I think I would go insane. I like my sanity. So, I pursue these mini projects to kind of give myself a break, and I think that's very worthwhile. But if I was only pursuing these mini projects instead of working on King of the Wallflowers, so if these mini projects were a form of procrastination, that's a different story. Because when you have a vision for something, but you are finding excuses to distract yourself from it, then what are you doing? You're procrastinating, you're putting it off, however you want to call it. So I think that it's worthwhile to pursue some smaller projects just like as maintenance, you know? It's like if you want to make sure that your car is in working order and you know that you have to eventually get to changing out your I don't even know cars. Oh my god. Why did I go with this analogy? If you know that your car is a wreck and your vision is to have a good car and you know that the transmission needs work, you need the tires to be good and stuff like that, then like changing your like little fresh tree thing that hangs from your dashboard, like that's procrastination and a waste of resource. Getting like a steering wheel cover is waste of resource and procrastination. Working on so many mini songs that just aren't a part of your total vision is, I won't call it a waste of resource. And even like with the steering wheel and the mini fresh tree, like that's not a waste because like I guess it goes towards the enjoyment of your car. So maybe you do need that break. And maybe it's always worthwhile to pursue these things. But if you have a vision that you are neglecting because you are focusing on the little things, then you'll have a really pretty car, but those tires are going to blow out. And you'll have a really pretty car, but your transmission is going to drop. And that's not going to be a good day. And I suppose the equivalent would be you're never going to finish that album if you focus on all the small things. And I'm in the business of finishing albums and whatnot, and finishing projects. Actually, this will be my first project that like I truly finish and whatnot. So I'm like super duper excited for that. And I suppose I'm taking my like little breaks and whatnot. But you gotta push towards the goals that you know you want to achieve. If you don't push towards those goals, then you may not achieve them, and that would be sad. Now, you may just take a little longer to achieve them, and that's great. Like, take your time on things, right? But my personal struggle is I've worked on 2 songs for 8 months before. Right now, I'm on track for these 6 songs that I'm working on. It's been like 6 months. I'm on month 6 of producing these. And, like, it's been, like, well, I'm not just producing them. I'm recording, and, like, I wrote some stuff, and it's like a full enchilada, you know? But I am working on getting my process streamlined, faster, better. And these mini projects I'm working on, honestly, help me with that goal. Because I give myself a week to make a demo, and then all I really need is an extra week to turn that into something fully fleshed out. So it's good creative practice to work on these mini projects, but if I were to only focus on them, then I would be distracting myself from the essay, and I would be distracting myself from the total project, and that's not where I want to be. So I suppose it's all about the context, yeah. Now, where does that leave us? When to pursue a creative idea and what's worthwhile to create. I think that all creative ideas are worth pursuing, but if it's going to distract you from a project that's currently ongoing and it's simply a reason not to work on what you've been working on, then you should probably finish what you're working on so that then you can go on to those mini projects without any guilt, so that you can move on to other large-scale projects without guilt, all of that stuff. What's worthwhile to create, also everything, just know that you are making yourself a more efficient version of yourself, a better version of yourself by working on those. And adding to your repertoire is never a bad thing. Again, it depends on your goals. So if you want to be a bedroom musician whose music is never heard, then just writing the lyrics or learning how to play your song to yourself is all that matters. But if you have larger goals, if you want to make a living off of your music and you want to live this lifestyle, then you do have to put in a little more work. And you have to be more selective with the ideas that you choose to pursue and when. Now, if you have a completely clean slate and you're not working on anything, then just go make something. Go. Just get started. Turn off this video in like 5 minutes and then go. But if you are working on something, then you should probably keep working towards that. Understand that while it's okay to take time for something like a mini project, you have bigger goals, and you should work on things that will bring those goals to fruition. I also want to touch on another part of Connor and I's conversation that I think was really, really clarifying. As I said earlier, he was talking about how he had these lyrics and they were raw and they were like insecure parts of him that were speaking through the lyrics, and should I make it? He was also wondering about how emotional is it, because he didn't want to hold himself in this state of, oh great, I thought about this and I wrote to it and now I'm just going to become it. I'm going to embody it by making my music about it, and it's going to become a part of who I am, and I'm not going to escape it. And I wanted to touch on this because it's a part of the pursuing a creative idea, and it's a part of what's worthwhile to create. Because I think that those raw, painful songs are the most worthwhile to create. And I think they're absolutely worth pursuing. For instance, I have this song called Hanu, and I was working on the single called Loverboy that had 2 songs, She Ain't Kind and Loverboy. And I was working on those songs. I was in like month 2 of working on them. And then Hanu is a song that I wrote at the same time as She Ain't Kind, but they were like super similar. So I decided that I needed to pick one and then make that one. And I chose She Ain't Kind because I thought it was more potent. But then a few months down the line, I was working on Hanu, and the emotional context of that song is girls that will use you as an emotional punching bag. And I was feeling that. And it's really potent in terms of emotion for me. And I think that was super worthwhile to create because I needed to get it out. It's this part of myself that was like screaming to get out, and I just needed to make it. And what I want to touch on in this part of the conversation is the emotional peaks and troughs of projects. So when you write something, he wrote this song about his insecurities or whatever, right? When you write something, that's one emotional peak. That's like, I'm feeling the initial feeling as a primary source, and I am turning it into something. And I'm sticking with it until I have these lyrics written out, and I'm not letting go of this feeling until I have a song. You don't have to be able to play it in that time. You don't have to be able to have it produced, whatever. You just need the lyrics, right? You need to sit with the emotion for long enough to say what you need to say so that you can identify how you feel, how you felt. That is emotional peak number 1. And usually, if you're just like a songwriter, you don't produce, you don't like do anything like that, then that's usually where it ends. If you perform, then you also have to be able to play and sing it. And I would count that as part of the writing process, you know? Like, okay, I learned what I felt, and now I'm learning how to play it. That's cool. Then you have a second emotional peak if you are working on it as someone that wants to be like a full-time musician that produces their own music, like me, right? The second emotional peak comes when you're recording and when you are actually like making the damn thing, because that is something else. I've had times where I worked on a song, I wrote to it, and it was beautiful, right? I have these emotions that I now have translated into something that I can share with others, and it will tell them how I feel. That is phenomenal. The second emotional peak comes from when you produce it, right? Because production is a whole nother level of obsession, right? You can play a song as much as you want, but that song is only going to be heard when you are physically holding an instrument playing it. Other than that, it's just in your brain. Unless, like, you record, like, you know, a version of it, then you can, like, listen to it. But that's not, like, a high-fidelity version, whatever. Anyways, so I don't even know if fidelity is the right word for that, but I feel like it is. So when you get into producing it, that's a whole nother thing, because for a little while, you're just going to be focusing on the music behind it. Like, for my process, I work on the instrumental first, and then I will produce the vocals and like sing it and record it and stuff like that. And I actually just ripped a mosquito bite off of my leg. Ouch. But once you have the instrumental, you gotta record the vocals. And that's emotional peak number 2 for me. You have no idea how many times I've sat on my floor of the closet after recording vocals, just like crying. It's crazy, actually. It's like borderline insane. But I love it. Like there's this understanding that comes with, oh my god, these lyrics and this instrumental, they sound so perfect together. And when you sing it for the first time with the music behind it, like, that's one hell of a way to relive your experience. Like, that's actually crazy. And that's emotional peak number 2 for me, is when you record what's been in your brain and suddenly you have this, like, good quality version of how you were feeling, and you can show it to other people, and it's like the whole, I've said this a lot of times in this video, but I'm going to say it again. It's the whole enchilada, right? It's like, if you're feeling angsty, and you have an angsty set of lyrics, and then you make an angsty instrumental, and then you put them together, like, that's beautiful, you know? Or if you have something that just needs to feel like a hug, and you make the instrumental, and it feels like a hug, and then you sing over it, and then it feels like a hug, that's beautiful. There's typically a third emotional peak for me, but it's like, if the first emotional peak is here, the second emotional peak is up here, but the third one is a little lower, and that's like the come down, if you will. That's when I'm like, okay, I made this song, and I wrote it, and I recorded it, now I just need to finish it. And once I finish a song, and once I'm in the finishing process of a song, like, it's over. Like, I'm typically worn out, I've said what I needed to say, I've cried the tears I needed to cry. Time to move on. And I typically won't get as emotional, but I do remember there was this one day where I had like almost all of the instrumentals for King of the Wallflower completed, and I went for a walk to just experience it, and it was beautiful. I felt understood by myself, and these things that were in my head were suddenly audible. I could share them with people, and that was beautiful. And I'm still working on it. I'm like 90% done. It's beautiful. I'm ready to be done too. And this like is the final emotional peak because I'm just about done with the project. It's time to finish it. And I suppose like now I'm reaching towards emotional exhaustion with it because I'm just wanting it to be done. I don't want to hold myself in this emotional state anymore because like I was saying earlier with having a larger vision, when you have a larger vision of something, if you're a musician and you do the same thing, let me know with a comment. You hold yourself in this emotional state. It feels like you're a hostage of your emotions. And like one of these songs I wrote like years ago, and I'm in that state. That being said, it's like still relevant to my life now, but I'm still holding myself in that emotional state by not having released this song. For a few of the other songs, they're fresher, but like I'm over it and I'm ready to move on, but like I need to finish this project in order to truly move on. It feels insane, to be honest, but like good insane because I am like seeing, messing with the mic for a second, bear with me. But it feels like good insane because I'm seeing these ideas through. I'm finishing them. I'm not going to leave it half-assed. I want to be done with it. And I think that's special. So I think that in terms of emotional peaks, there's typically 3 when it comes to my process. For other people in other stages of their musical journeys, there could be more, could be less. I don't know, maybe there's going to be like a secret 4th emotional peak when I'm touring worldwide with all of these songs. Like, oh, I can't believe I wrote this in Colorado and I'm taking it to Brazil. Like, that would be awesome. And I'm sure that would make me a little emotional. But as of now, I think that it's very worthwhile to actually try for the songs that make you feel emotional. I think it's worthwhile to see it through and to take it from pen and paper to something that you can hear. I think that's truly special. I think that we need more people doing that. And if you're one of the people that is doing that, thank you. I want to meet you. So please make yourself known on the channel. Join the community because I am here to speak to your creative potential because I know that you can do it. I know that you can be the dream version of yourself that you want to be. All you have to do is the work. That's all that's left. That's all that's standing between you and who you could be. I'd love to meet you. One day I will. One day I'll come to your hometown and I'll play some songs for you. It'll be beautiful. Until then, to recap, I think it's always worthwhile to have a project going on. Work on mini projects as long as they're not completely distracting you from your overall vision. Know that there's going to be emotional peaks and troughs when it comes to seeing that vision through. And what you create in the interim times, like your mini projects, if you will help you avoid emotional burnout, and it'll give you like a much needed distraction from those emotional large scale visions that you have. But definitely don't let them really like distract you from doing what you need to do. Take them as a little reprieve, and then keep on moving in the direction that you know that you need to go. I hope you enjoyed listening to me talk about these creative ideas and when to pursue them, what's worthwhile to pursue. If you found value, if you found this helpful, I would love if you subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it because I'm going to keep doing videos like this, hopefully more frequently, but as of now it seems to be every 2 weeks. So keep an eye out, turn on post notifications, that bell, click it, and I am so glad that you stayed till the end listening to me talk about what I think will help many creatives uncover the person that they need to be. Thank you so much for hanging out. I've been Balix. Find me everywhere at balix.mp3.com. That's BALEXDOTMP3.com. Thank you for being here, and I'll talk with you later.